beautiful journey. That's how people refer to the arcade classic series that is Outrun. Developed by the legendary Sega studio AM2, which are essentially Sega's version of Nintendo EAD, where their best games were made, headed by the man, the myth, the legend that is Yu Suzuki, and then wrapped up in the utterly glorious soundtrack composed by another Sega legend that is Hiroshi Kawaguchi. Outrun for me was a childhood racing game that I poured countless number of hours and coinage into, sitting back in that awesome arcade machine whilst listening to my favourite Outrun track that is Passing Breeze. Then in 2006, I believe, Sega dropped on us, which is now another one of my all-time favourite racing games, that is Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. A game I also put an obscene amount of hours into and still play today as one of those rare games that I can constantly go back to every once in a while. So why am I talking about Outrun? Well, recently I posted a reply to Twitter to the developers of Snake Pass, that charming platform game starring Noodle the Snake, which was one of the first games I played when I got my shiny new beautiful Nintendo Switch. Overall, I enjoyed the game and would be more than happy to see a sequel, as I'm sure the developers would refine the niggles that I had with the first game, in a second attempt. Well, the developer of Snake Pass is none other than Sumo Digital, the developers behind Outrun 2. Naturally, I said to them that I'd love to have a sequel to Snake Pass, and at the same time, said I'd also love Outrun 3 while they, whilst they were at it. You gotta ask these things, right? I mean, it would be rude not to. Anyway, they came back to me stating that they'd love to do a sequel to Snake Pass, but that's currently, seemingly, not their plans, which begs to question, what exactly are Sumo Digital working on if it's not Snake Pass 2? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting Outrun 3 to suddenly turn up from these guys, as I know Sega will most likely not be eager to pay for the Ferrari license once again, and if I remember correctly, there were a few issues around them renewing it anyway. But at the same time, I thought to myself, do Sega really need to use the Ferrari license in order to create a new Outrun game? Well, I thought, whilst Outrun is on my mind, let's look into why I feel Sega doesn't need the Ferrari license in order to make a new Outrun game. And and it's always fun to think of game ideas, for the series you love, right? So, I love arcade racers. They are by far my most preferred style of racing game. I'm not into what I consider to be dull, realistic like races. I want to power slide unrealistically around corners, fly over insane jumps, be chased by T-Rexes, crash into the side of the road and have my girlfriend fly out of the car. Actually, that's pretty messed up if you think about it. Outrun for me has never really been about driving fast in a Ferrari. Outrun for me has always been about the thrill and pleasure of the drive. In fact, I believe Yu Suzuki once quoted that he didn't see Outrun as a racing game, but as a driving game. And it's that what I love about Outrun the most. Being able to drive fast through beautiful fantasy-like environments that take inspiration from the real world but aren't afraid to exaggerate them. I enjoy having my girlfriend next to me in the car, her hair blowing in the wind and her arms raising up in the air with excitement. I love the thrill of passing traffic on the open road with no intention to cause harm, only the joy of speeding past them. I love not having to use the brake so much and just enjoy screeching around long corners with the subtle fear of clipping a rock on the side of the road if I don't keep my cool. But most of all, I love the journey. I love simply just driving on long open roads as far as the eye can see, No real cares in the world apart from getting as far as I can, and to finish it all off, I get to listen to one of gaming's best soundtracks that to this day has never gotten old. The way I look at it, Sega could easily create a new Outrun game, place me in any cool looking open top sports car that they could conjure up in their minds, call the new game something like Outrun a New Journey, and I see no issues whatsoever with the IP losing any of its original appeal. But if you're like me, you will understand that Outrun is more than just a racing game with licensed Ferraris in it. To move Outrun into today's gaming world, online would naturally be a must. With Outrun Coast to Coast already having online before. But let's take the online a little further. Have up to 8 players in a race across vast open roads. Let them see the course they take, just like you would normally do when you decide whether to take left or right. Take the left or right fork in the road. Before the race starts, all players can meet up in a lobby area, which is, set outside a beachside cafe or something. You can show off your custom car, which has just had a fresh paint job, or new wheels, which you bought using in-game race tokens you won from previous events. How about a new open air mode that literally just allows you and other drivers to drive across large open areas, perhaps even discovering new roads that can be added to the map, which extends the more you travel, almost like a procedurally generated map, which naturally has boundaries at some point after a while, but these maps can then be uploaded online for other players to race on them. Sometimes we throw out these wild ideas and wonder if they'll actually work. But I guess that's the fun about video games, using your imagination on where games could go. I'd love for the new Outrun game to be made. A part of me feels that it never will, but there's always hope, right? So let me know your thoughts, people. What awesome memories do you have of the beautiful journey? Perhaps you've never played an Outrun game in your life, and if not, why not? Or do you agree with some of my ideas, especially the one about Outrun not needing Ferraris in order to beat an Outrun game? As always, thanks for listening, and I very much look forward to your comments below. Peace.